Hey guys, what's up? It's Brian and Max, and today we're playing Lego City Undercover. This is one of my favorite Wii U games ever made.
Yeah, I actually, I didn't play it on Wii U. I didn't play it on 3DS. I was really hoping it was going to be coming to other systems, and sure enough, it is. It's coming to Switch now.
That's right. It's on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and they've added co-op, which we are trying for the very first time today. I'm trying to find Max. So we're both playing cops. Now
we're the same cop. We're double cops.
Yeah.
Double cops, like the movie Double Cops.
Yeah, I don't think that's a movie.
That's the Double Cops. Everyone's seen Double Cops.
So the cool thing about this game is it's basically Lego GTA. You could just cause havoc, but you're a police officer, but also it doesn't really matter because you don't really get in trouble for just being like a real bad lieutenant.
What does this game have you doing anyway?
Bunch of different missions. You get to travel all over basically like fake San Francisco and...
oh my god, it totally is San Francisco.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I didn't know that.
So here's the painted ladies over here.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's some cool stuff.
It's just like Watch Dogs 2, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah, the only game ever to be set in San Francisco.
Sorry, it's
Yep.
an emergency.
Yeah.
So where are you?
Oh, yeah, that's what I like to do.
Okay, so I can see you on my radar.
This is just like in that scene from Double Cops where they steal the cab.
Yeah. Roger Ebert said he gave it no thumbs at all because it doesn't exist.
Great. Whiplash.
One of his last reviews.
I want to get out of the car. Ooh, funky camera there. Okay, where's that motorcycle? I need to ride the motorcycle.
So it's weird because like the Space Needles in this game, like you see that, like, and the Palace of Fine Arts, and then there's like a fake Times Square once you leave.
Okay, so it's just really just a Lego city.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is rockets?
Yeah, you got thrusters.
Nice.
So yeah, you can basically just mess around, or you can do all the missions. We got this cool map down here. I'm gonna take a phone call.
Chase, can you give me an update?
Yep, I just arrested the getaway driver.
Great work and
I'm
good
so good at
timing
this.
because
I
we just had a
love
report
Lego,
from someone near
Lego
the Red
Marvel
Cafe.
superheroes.
Yep.
They spotted a clown.
Yeah, that was
hanging
open
onto
world
its
too, right?
rooftop.
Or had open world
Could be
elements.
Yeah,
some
that was like
bad
kind of New
guys.
York. I think they
Not
sort of
too
reused
bad.
a lot of
I'm
it
about to ruin
for
some kid's birthday
Avengers.
party. I'm on my way.
I liked it though because it had X-Men.
Now, where did I put
It
my
had
police
Venom.
shoe whistle?
It's a cool motorcycle you got
That should
there.
I
get
know.
traffic to stop for me.
Okay, so they're telling us to go.
Out of here!
Oh, that's my booster. That's really awesome. So frame rate's actually pretty good in co-op. I haven't noticed anything too sketchy yet. I have a feeling it's going to drop. This game's running at 1080p, 30 frames a second when it's docked, and 720p when it's in handheld mode, which is pretty standard for Switch stuff. But yeah,
Where are you?
I'm down by the police station.
Me too. Want to hang out?
Yeah, you see where I am? Just follow the green arrow over there.
Well, let me just cause some property damage again. Yeah. All right, so I'm guessing that we kind of are missing parts of the map that are still locked up, probably.
Yeah. All right, so I found our first objective. You want to meet me down here?
Okay.
And co-op this bad boy.
Okay.
Everyone, can I get your attention? Is anyone here a bank robbing clown?
Got some good detective work.
Oh, well, I didn't think it would be that easy.
So you're saying this has a lot of
Better
like
check
kind
in
of
with
like
Ellie.
buddy cop references.
Yeah,
And stupid 80s
Ellie,
movies
there's
stuff.
no sign
It's
of a
totally
clown
one of those
up here.
games. Which
Don't
I'm glad it
worry.
has co-op now
I've
because it's
just
the kind of game
updated
you
your
could like play with your
communicator
kid,
scanning
and
software.
he or she will
Use
be
it
like,
to
"Oh,
have
this
a
is a
look
fun Lego
around
game,"
from the
and you'll be like,
restaurant's
"Oh, is that
rooftop, and it'll
Starsky and
show up
Hutch?"
Yeah.
anyone nearby who might be a robber.
And
Guess we
then,
gotta find the robber.
You
Oh,
arrest
that's funny.
them.
Does he still have like a Wii U?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. Criminal scans.
Good work on that vending machine over there.
I hate them.
I don't believe that at
I
all.
love a nice snack. Okay. So we've got to use profiling to figure out the crook.
Yeah. So you can switch characters by holding the X button.
All right.
Oh.
So
Now we're looking for a clown.
how do I do this? How are you using the scanner? What you push? I'll just mess stuff up.
Perfect.
Well, if this is the right street, then where is the building?
I wonder if there's a clown on the roof somewhere. What would a clown be?
Circus. Oh, is that the clown? Wait, look, go down. There you go.
There we go.
All right, come on. Let me go back to my trampoline.
Oh, let's get to making this gray old place a little more pretty.
Huh.
That's a very happy construction worker.
Oh, that's
Ah.
more like it. Beautiful, even if I do say so myself.
If this is the right street,
I certainly came a long
All right,
way
time to
just
do
to
some,
warn some strangers. Officer?
All right, climb that fence. Where's that clown?
Whoa! Almost got me there, mister.
Well, we're gonna find you. We're gonna beat the crap out of
We're
you.
gonna beat
huh?
the hell out of you,
What
sick
you
clown.
doing down there, eh?
We're gonna build a trampoline part.
Oh, can't you get up here?
What? Where'd
Where'd
it
it
go?
go?
Come up
weird.
and get me.
We bring it
Can't
over
you
here.
jump this high?
You're making it very difficult for me to stay professional,
over
you
here.
know?
Walking very slowly. Oh, there we go.
Boo-hoo.
It's a very heavy
Na, na,
trampoline.
na, na. Woo-hoo. See ya.
Oh, little mushroom.
So yeah, the Switch version of this game, I believe, retains some of the weird and
Jack,
cool
why
Nintendo
do you
references that the
climb
Wii U
your
version had,
beanstalk?
but I think those got pulled out of the PS4, Xbox One, and PC
Sorry,
versions.
I busted it.
You. Oh, I'm gonna make you pay.
Now, obviously, you're going to get a lot more graphics options on the PC version, but Switch version you can bring anywhere. You can be a weird dude and fight this clown on the airplane. You got a little detective mode.
Doing some sleuthing.
Yeah, a little hit the road, Jack.
Okay.
I forgot to pay the water bill.
You gotta.
Digging through these old rat turds.
That's disgusting.
Okay.
Oh, you found the piece? Oh, we gotta turn the water on. Okay. Make my monster grow. Huh.
I don't think this guy's going to be happy about this.
Oh, look at that pizza, though.
Is there a pizza?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the pizza. Where you see the pizza? Where's the pizza?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, look at that. We broke it.
Pizza puncher. All right, so we're going some flowers here. The camera's a little bit crazy here. A lot of stuff going on. I'm excited to play this. I'm definitely gonna play this probably in the bathroom. Probably on the road. You know, seems like a good little portable game.
Those are two different things for you, right?
That all depends. So you played this on 3DS too, didn't you?
Yeah, so they ported this game to 3DS, but it wasn't very good because it lost a lot of the stuff like draw distance, and the levels wasn't really as open world. It was sort of like kind of little microcosms that were connected. But it was fun. It was like, it was passable. It got the job done. So what are we trying to do here? We're trying to get, so break that. There we go.
All right. Oh, wow. Huh. I love that noise.
That is a nice noise.
They do wonderful sound design in these games. Just like it's satisfying.
Think something more
We're
catastrophic.
behind Danny Tanner's right
Come
now.
out with your paws up. Oh,
Oh,
What is
a
he
dog.
doing in there?
Ew.
Get him, dog!
stop, please.
You'll never catch me. Quit running after me. I'm an innocent clown.
Stop, or I will keep running after you.
I guess there's no shooting in this game.
No, you get guns.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
Busted.
Beat him up.
Yep, I got
All
that
right.
sick clown.
Well, we solved the mystery.
Right. We can do this the easy way.
So one of the main
or
complaints
the
about this
hard
game
way.
were the load
I'll take the
times.
easy way.
We haven't really run into
I've
any
heard
of
one
them
the
so
other
far, but they
guys
really
say he was
kind of
gonna
hit
jump
you in
on
the
a
head
cargo
when you
ship
go
and the
indoors
robbery went bad.
and when you go to, from kind of major area to area. Right now we're in the downtown San Francisco
Sure.
section, and you walked over to that Golden Gate Bridge
Wow.
before. It was
That
kind of
really
like
was
walled
the
off.
easy way.
Yeah.
Eventually, story stuff will open up, and we'll be able to cross over there and do anything. And then you'll get to see them a little bit. They've shaved them down a little. They used to be about a
Chase,
minute.
Did you find the robber?
Your timing is uncanny.
They're a
Yep,
little
he's in
shorter,
custody.
but still not
It looks like
great,
one of the other
which
robbers
is
is at the docks.
kind of disappointing.
You want to arrest that guy too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
load
let
times
me
really
just
suck. Like
check my
I'd so much
calendar.
Give me
so
a
much
call
sooner
once
play
you
like a
got him.
slightly less impressive game
Yeah.
visually than have to sit around waiting.
I think it's like one of those things where when you're playing it on your TV, it's not a big deal because you look at your phone or something, pet your dog.
Yeah.
But if you're on an airplane, or you're on a train or something like that, and you're just staring at that screen.
Yeah.
It's like, and it just plays this funky kind of funky funk blues loop.
Clunky funk blues loop.
Yeah. the all chicken blues band.
I think you need to pump the brakes on those words over there. All right. Oh, hey, a rabbit. Come here.
Oh.
Come here.
So yeah, there's lots of little cool little Easter eggs all over this game too, and collectibles.
But the rabbit put them there.
I bet he did.
This is an emergency.
My favorite fart button.
I was doing that thing in Lego games where I'll punch something and then sort of wait and see if if I can actually build something with the pieces or if they just disappear.
Yeah. Well, so another thing this game has that I really love that you'll find in all the other Lego games are the gold bricks and the red bricks. There's something like 450 gold bricks hidden in this game.
Good God.
And the red ones are the ones that sort of knock on and off cheat modifiers. So you
Right.
get stuff like, triple
coins, yeah.
triple studs and the magnet that attracts collectibles towards you and stuff like that. Stuff that makes cars explode within like a second of bumping into them.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
I mean, in games.
They'll be fine.
And it's kind of cool to play a game like this because it inspires destruction, whereas like in GTA games, you get kind of in trouble for doing that. It's still fun to do
Oh,
it.
hey, look
but
what I did. I built a palm tree.
great work, Max. I'm down here doing cop stuff. You're out of here.
Sometimes a cop has to stop and do a palm tree thing. Oh, hey, what's going on here? Is it a shark? Is there sharks?
So, are you down by the docks?
I'm in the water.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're way down by the
I'm an
docks.
aquatic cop.
So yeah, as you can see, co-op is interesting because we can just kind of do our own thing, or we can team up.
It's kind of good cop, bad cop going on here.
I'm heading into the next mission.
All right. Well, I'm over here with these.
Hopefully, we get to beat up that clown again.
I
Did
hope
you drown?
so. No, I just got summoned into this cutscene because you activated it.
Yeah, it's called being a cop, Max.
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
you should
maybe
get on my level.
Maybe I want to bust these pallets for being litter.
Don't you have respect for the great police force of Lego City?
What's going on here? Look at these. See? I'm gonna build something. Making a
gotta go
sand
here.
castle. Aw, look at
Oh,
that.
2 out of 4.
I gotta build 4 sand castles.
So that's cool because I think I 100%ed this game and I found all the collectibles, did all the little things like that. But it's definitely easier if I'm over here doing police stuff and you're just building sandcastles. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's great. It's a great time. So I'm guessing for this you need to be like a. I have to unlock a cool disguise to do that mission.
Ah, great. How am I gonna get in there?
Beat up these fish traps, these lobster traps. One of those crab cops.
You and I have very different agendas right now. So you can quick change with the L button, which is pretty rad. I always like doing
I don't
that.
have any costumes though.
Whoa, hey, officer, can you do me a solid?
This makes me want to watch cop
I
movies.
need to get that gate.
This guy is
open.
he's like
be
a
my
drunk
pleasure.
tow truck
Right.
operator with a
Follow me?
truck full of wine.
Wow, yeah, seriously, look at all that wine.
Yeah, how I gotta I gotta drive this wall.
Kind of a Trevor Phillips character.
Uh huh.
All right, build another sandcastle. I think. I'm on the case.
I'm on the case too of wine.
Go through the door up there.
These funky rocks.
So I like the just sort of straightforward split screen they have in this game, and not that weird clockwork diagonal one.
They tried so hard to make that work, and I just don't think it really ever clicked.
It never clicked with me. All right, I'm in.
It took it
Hacker
right
voice.
out of my hand. Excuse me. Can you tell me how I get onto that cargo ship? Easy. I just whistle and Larry and the crane will give you a lift.
Ugh.
Great. Which I will gladly do once my lunch break is over. Okay. Which will be never, because a lousy seagull stole my sandwich.
Smell a
I'll
side
go and
mission.
find it for you.
Smell a New Yorker.
You'll know it's my sandwich, as it's approximately the size of a sandwich.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, thought I died there.
If it has cucumber in it, then it is not my sandwich.
Good. I hate cucumbers.
I'm slipping around all over these rocks.
Well, knock it off.
If it has sausage and jelly in it, then it is my sandwich.
How many
Sausage
sandwiches
and
are floating around
jelly?
there? That's gross.
Sick man.
Well, he's, you know.
Well, yeah, we're gonna go hunt for that sandwich. This is Lego City Undercover. It's on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC right now. It's $59.99. Support of probably one of my top 5 favorite Wii U games that not a lot of people played because it's a Wii U game.
Yeah.
But now it's out there for everyone, and as you can see, it's got co-op, so I can find the sandwich.
Hey, there's my friend Brian over there.
And Max can build the sandcastles.
It's a faithful Lego adaptation of the classic film Double Cops.
There we go.
Yep.
One of the best movies never made.
Coming up on Up at Noon, Disney Afternoon is getting a video game collection, Mad Catz is going out of business, and we played a video game about using the controller to give yourself a massage. All that and more right now on Up at Noon Live.
Hey, hello and welcome to Up at Noon. I'm your host, Brian Altana. With me, Max Scoville. This is Up at Noon Live. You can watch it every week right here on IGN, Twitch, Roku, Xbox One, Facebook, YouTube, PS4.
Did you get them all?
I think that's all of them. This is our weekly comedy variety show here at IGN. Sort of like this weird catch-all for pop culture, news, toys, video games, movies.
Yeah.
everything.
We get to set up little dioramas on our desk, and then we talk about things that we were talking about in the playground in 3rd grade. So Here we are. As always, you can tweet at us using the hashtag #UpAtNoon, and we try to pay attention to what you guys want to know. Last week, we had a really cool chat monitor that showed us what everyone on YouTube and Twitch was saying. I don't know where that went, but hopefully it comes back. But that being said, use the hashtag. That's the best way to get a hold of us. So yeah, Disney Afternoon.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah, there's a game coming out that collects a bunch of awesome classic NES Disney cartoon games, rolling them together. It's called the Disney Afternoon Collection. It's just stabbing us directly in the heart with a knife made strictly of nostalgia. Let's take a look at the trailer, and we've got John from Capcom after that. Probably go a little bit higher.
Great work. Yeah.
Well, that was weird. Anyway.
Okay, so that's Disney Afternoon. Let's do a quick rundown. John, thank you so much for coming on our
Thank
show,
you for
by the
having
way. You're associate producer at Capcom.
Yep, I'm an associate producer there.
And now Disney Afternoon, it's 4 games.
Six games.
Six
Six
games.
games,
Yeah,
yeah.
it gets better. That all originally launched on the Nintendo Entertainment System, correct?
Correct. These are Capcom Disney collaborations from the 8-bit era.
Okay. So why bring this out now?
Why not?
That's a good
I mean,
you got me.
one of my my biggest exciting points about this is that I turned 30 a couple years ago. I'm getting older, and as I get older, I'm getting more nostalgic for my childhood.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And because I grew up playing games in the 8-bit and 16-bit era, like my gaming history had a huge foundation with these Disney games.
Yeah.
Not only was I a fan of Disney and Capcom, I was also a fan of just the Disney shows themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I watched DuckTales or Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, I think the Capcom Disney games, they have a very special place in my heart. I had them all growing up. But I think there's something interesting to note about how important they are, or at least were and continue to be now. Licensed games are normally bad.
Yeah, I was going to say this.
Straight up. Like,
I think
usually pretty bad.
There was a kind of golden age where I think games just as a whole were kind of, maybe not simpler, but they were, I guess, easier to develop because they weren't, they weren't like super high-res detailed stuff. So it was like, making a cool, weird DuckTales game. Also, games were so new. Like, DuckTales is kind of the basis for Shovel Knight nowadays.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, and it's, you're hopping around on the moon with a cane as a pogo stick. And then you got Rescue Rangers, which is like awesome co-op. And then, so let's just first of all run this down. We've got DuckTales 1 and 2, Rescue Rangers 1 and 2,
correct,
Tailspin, and then Darkwing Duck. and these are like the original, like classic, like pixel art style. This isn't like weird.
These are not remakes like the previous DuckTales remaster. These are the originals, and we've added some additional features to make them more accessible to a modern gaming audience.
Do you have like the rewind thing in there?
Yes, actually, that's something that we worked with our developers, Digital Eclipse, to do. As you know, we released Mega Man Legacy Collection a few years ago, and one of the feedbacks that we got was that these games are very challenging. One thing that I myself, as someone who's in their 30s who grew up playing these games, kind of look at those games through nostalgia, rose-tinted glasses. Like I remember, oh, those games were so fun, they were easy. I started working on these games, and they were so challenging. And I don't ever remember being them that way when I was a child.
I wonder what that if part of that is that sort of you have this ability as a kid to persevere through stuff like that, whereas nowadays like you give up easier as an adult, which sounds odd. But so one of the things I wanted to ask you about now, one of the really special sort of things that brought the Mega Man collection together were the kind of bells and whistles in terms of the old sketches, old pieces of art and stuff like that. Like a lot of that stuff really appealed to me because I was like, all right, I played through the Mega Man games a bunch of times. It's awesome and convenient to have them all in one place, especially somewhere like on the 3DS where it's portable. Was it harder to sort of reach into the Disney vaults and find concept art for old DuckTales characters and Tailspin comics and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I like the word challenging, but yes, it was a challenge to get some of this stuff because, as you guys know, working in media, back in the day, things weren't archived nearly as well as they are now. With digital hard drives, digital files, HD movies, all that's really easy to archive. But back in the day, these were all, the shows were animated using pencil and paper and colors on paper. So it was kind of difficult to go back and get a lot of this art, but we worked with our partners over in Japan at Capcom Japan and with Disney here in the US, and we were able to find a lot of really good content that we could include in the package.
That's awesome. Now, what I'm fascinated about this is you're connecting three huge companies that aren't necessarily known for playing well together, but also like, I mean, you've got Disney, you've got Capcom, and you've got Nintendo, who are all these kind of like, these pillars. Who had the most bits and pieces of this left over? Was it all in Capcom stuff, or?
Well, these games were developed at Capcom, at Capcom Japan, and with Capcom USA. So we did have a majority of the original assets.
Okay, and then did like Disney have to come in and sign off on everything you were doing, and then?
Yeah, everything we've run through Disney. We go through the approvals process.
Now, did they seem cool with it? Is it possible we're going to see like a Disney Afternoon Collection 2 or something?
Right now, this is the only one we're planning.
Okay.
But Disney was awesome throughout the entire process. I got to work with them really closely. Their producers down there. Our producer down at Disney, Glenn, was an awesome guy to work with. He really did help us throughout this process get everything looking great.
So we're looking at Rescue Rangers right now, or just where, here's Tailspin. Rescue Rangers is one of my favorite NES games ever made. It's the one I played with my brother all the time. To me, it's a precursor to something like New Super Mario Brothers. It's one of the first co-op games where you could pick up your brother and throw him to his death, which is really fun. The animation here, the emulation here, looks incredibly clean. Now, I noticed last week, Nesticle, which is like one of the internet's favorite emulators, turned 20 years old.
I feel old.
And,
Wow.
So obviously people have had nostalgia for these games for a very long time, but getting emulation running on HD consoles seems like the easiest thing in the world because you're like, oh, it can run anything. It can run an 8-bit game. That's apparently incredibly challenging, right? So can you talk a little bit about sort of like what it was like to bring these games to modern platforms on a technical front?
Well, a lot of the heavy lifting was done by our partner, Digital Eclipse, and they worked with us on Mega Man Legacy Collection as well. They have an engine that actually decompiles the original code from the original games.
Wow.
And then it recompiles it into code that can be used on current gen consoles and computers.
Oh,
so they've got it down.
I almost understand that.
Yeah, they've got it down to an exact science. So it actually did a lot of the work for them, but it was still challenging to make sure it was right. If you notice in a lot of the videos that we showed, and if you've actually played a build of the game, we've included some of the original I guess charm points of the 8-bit era with like the flickering or the frame rate slowdown.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because there's this weird nostalgia for things that don't necessarily work well, but existed. Flickering, slowdown, there's scan lines and stuff like that I see in a lot of retro games as the option to make your TV look like the piece of crap TV your parents had in the 80s. Are you guys trying to work a lot of that stuff into this game as well?
Absolutely, and we do actually have filters for for CRT scan lines and monitor
awesome.
scan lines. And that's actually one of my favorite ways to play is on the with the CRT filter because it's got the ghosting that you remember.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really cool part of that, and it's one of those things where I don't think we really knew what we were looking at the time. And looking at modern pixel art games now, everything's so clean, so it's cool that you do have both of those options.
Yeah. What I love is that it's easy to look at this and be like, oh, like I could just get ROMs or I could find these like used at a flea market or something. But you guys are going in and really like you are remastering this properly. I mean, it's got the scan lines and everything, and you've got the bonus stuff. I think the rewind feature is really like just a nice compromise to revisit something you're nostalgic about, but it's not just going to beat the crap out of you. So you've got concept art. You also have music in there?
We have music. We have a music player that actually extracts music from the original games themselves, and you can listen to it without actually playing through the game. You can go back and forth and listen to the tracks. And in the menus, this is probably my favorite aspect of the music, we have 8-bit remixes of the original tunes.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And if you go into each game's selection page, there's a remix of not only the title theme, but also music from within the game itself, all into a medley.
So like if you have a girl over, you could put on the DuckTales moon level, just set the mood.
DuckTales and chill.
Yeah, well, DuckTales and chill. But I mean, we do actually have a slow jam version of the Disney afternoon theme.
Oh,
that's
amazing.
Okay.
It's
Max and I put on the theme song for the trailer for the original theme song, and it just immediately brought me back to that era. And I think what I really appreciated about that era, and the games did the same thing, was school sucks. It's hard, and it's tough when you're a kid, and you get off of school, you go home, you open up a box of like Gushers, and then you start eating like gummy worms and stuff like that.
Just have a nice glass of Capri Sun,
You turn on the TV, you have a nice like glass of Capri Sun, and you see all these weird animal men just getting into hijinks with each other, and it's fantastic. So like seriously, thank you for like bringing all of this back together, because I think it's easy for us to sort of throw that in the back pockets of our minds and to never really revisit it. And I think Capcom does a really good job of sort of taking these things that we grew up with and going like, no, these are awesome, and this is a good time to sort of, I think the theme of like the question I asked you earlier is why now, and you're right, why not?
Yeah. No, it's funny because like I grew up and I remember seeing like there was that nostalgic Disney stuff. I mean, like Mickey Mania, another Capcom game, is kind of an example of that. Like I didn't have any fond feelings for Steamboat Willie, but there was a generation of probably 70-year-olds who did.
Yeah.
So like now we're old enough that like going back and being like, oh, like that thing, oh, that's like 25 years old. Okay, now it's our turn. Now we get like nice high-end, adult-oriented remastered collections. So
yeah, and I mean that was the whole point of this collection. When from the second you turn it on, you're hit with the 90s in the face.
Yeah,
like it just smacks you right across the face. The music, the art style, just everything in there we tailored to turn on that nostalgia switch in 90s kids like us.
That's awesome.
I think there's an incredible sort of preservation aspect to it too. We run into this issue all the time with video games where it's not like a book where you can just pick it up 50 years later. Video games are sort of hard to preserve. Like stuff like Tailspin is not really a game that's ever been ported, and specifically with Virtual Console, which we saw from the Wii to the Wii U, and now with Switch, hopefully. You didn't really see a lot of these games make it over there, so it's cool to finally have a home for this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to play like Tailspin on your PS4, you either have to void your warranty, break the law, or both. And
please don't do that.
So, do you think that or how do you imagine the sort of younger audience is going to interpret this or inherit these new games? Because like it's cool now that like Twitch streaming is a thing. We didn't have that when we were kids, where you would just like send tapes into Nintendo Power. So do you think this is going to be something that like younger kids will gravitate to, the challenge and all that?
Well, I really hope so. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why we were so adamant about putting in that rewind feature.
Right.
But at the same time, like the 90s kid in me was like, well, these kids have it easy with everything. I mean, they need to be figuring it out on their own, but we wanted to make sure that we had the mix of both worlds. Yep. So, it's not, we do have like a background that says you can rewind, but if you turn that off, and if you want to be kind of a mean older brother or uncle, you can turn it off and not tell them about the rewind feature.
Like, one of the things I love to watch around the summertime, which is coming up, is like summer games done quick, awesome games done quick. There's like YouTube shows where they basically just like, they speed run as insanely as possible through games like this. And I think this will give you a great opportunity to do that. So you, as like a Twitch streamer who wants something kind of relaxed, you can use the rewind feature. But if you're like insane and you're pro level, turn all that stuff off and play.
Or if you're just practicing, you just want to get in the habit of it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because we actually have 2 extra modes that we are very happy with that we put in the game. Time attack mode, which is a speedrun mode.
Oh wow,
nice, perfect.
And you have your screen right here, and then you have the time running in the on the side, and then we have a boss rush mode for each game. So you can go through the bosses in succession and try and beat.
That's great.
Yeah, beat others. And there is leaderboard functionality and replay functionality with both of those features.
And that's for all the games?
For all the games.
That's awesome. So that includes the boss in Rescue Rangers who's just like shaking cigar ash on you?
Yes.
I love that you had to get that's like the one ESRB like point of contention. They're like, there's use of tobacco in here. It's from a cat.
It is very weird to get, spoilers, but to get to the end of that game and there's just a cat in a business suit sitting at a table and he's just like trying to flick cigarette ash on you.
Real weird. Real weird.
The 90s were a different time.
Yes, they were.
Anyway, this is out the 18th?
April 18th,
And it's $20?
$19.99.
$19.99. It's on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So, you know, if you have the same flavor of nostalgic brain damage that we do, check that out. Speaking of things that are getting old real fast without us realizing it, PaRappa the Rappa turned 20 this week or last week or something. But they put out the remastered edition and we got a chance to play it. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for coming by, John.
Thanks.
Come back soon.
Why make new games at all? Just polish the old ones. They're great. Let's take a look.
Hey, what's up, boys and girls? It's Brian and Max. What year is it? 2017. Not the old year where this game came out, but we're playing it again.
We're playing 8 Mile, the game, starring
Whoa.
Eminem.
This is PaRappa the Rapper Remastered. You might remember this rapping dog from the olden days on the...
I'm rapping whack.
On the PlayStation. Wow, here we go.
This is like the first rhythm game.
Yeah, so this game's been totally cleaned up, re-released. It's on PS4 right now. It's very pretty.
It's gorgeous. I love the thing about like cell shaded games is they scale well.
Yeah.
You know? And they're also hard as F word.
What do you think about this Onion Man? Do you think he does kisses?
I think he probably does. That's why he has all those onion babies back there. I'm sucking right back.
Do you think his onion wife or husband puts their onion lips all over this man's face?
Probably. They probably cry a lot too.
He made all those kids back there
Look
somehow.
Look at those funky stink lines. Yeah, I'm rapping good. Yeah.
I miss that little scratchy noise. This is a very sick dog that they put clothes on him and let him in this house with this onion. A real dog in this situation would probably gently gnaw on that onion in the corner of the room.
That's true. I don't think dogs are even supposed to have onions.
Is that true?
That's probably true. I think they get sick. But yeah, man, I love what's more fun than this game in 2017 is describing this game to people who aren't familiar with it, because you're like, what's this game about? You're like, well, you're about a dog who raps and he has to learn karate, and then he has to learn how to drive at the DMV, and then he really has to take a dump, so he's going to wait in line for the bathroom, and they're like, no, you're making that up. It's like, no, that's actually, why is he doing all these things? Because he's trying to get laid by a flower.
It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. Also, what else doesn't make any sense is this onion having a knife in the background with the word chop chop and a chopped onion. Is that a threat to his students that they will get killed?
Probably. What I always like doing was just screwing up. It's a new style of rap.
Yep.
It's a new style. It's freestyle.
He's not really rapping. He's just like
pop 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 pop. I rap good.
That's good.
Yeah. You know, this is a great it's a wonderful idea for a game. As far as a game that I want to play in 2017, I don't know how I feel about it.
I like this chicken though and that funky frog. So the FMVs are not cleaned up, which is a little interesting.
Yeah, you know why? Because in addition to being FMVs, they're also WMVs.
Yes.
The official file format of 1997.
Look at this.
Look at that weird dude. Handsome dog. A lot of frogs and dogs and whatnot in this game. Yeah, I don't know what that says. This has the best art direction.
Huh?
What?
Whoa. What?
All right. So I don't want to spoil the story or anything, but they're eating donuts.
It's a great day today.
That's the
What do you guys want to do?
that's the flower I'm trying to make love to later.
Really? Most dogs just pee on flowers.
Yeah.
Look at that sick bear.
This is awful animals. I love that there's not even like a style guide. They're not like, oh, it's all woodland animals. It's just like, no, it's like a plant and a bear and a dog, and then there's some of the dogs that are more human than others.
Also, there's onions that are men, but there's also food that you can eat.
What is
this?
that?
It looks like a
Red Rocket.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a dog's.
What are we looking at? What is this? So anyway, ugh.
Hi.
So keep it locked at newgrounds.com for all the latest in Flash cartoons.
The color is awesome too.
Not only that, it's a convertible,
So do you want to keep playing or like?
What? This is so weird. Can we skip this?
Yeah, but you have to hear a duck noise. All right, we're turning to drive here.
We're hanging out with Moose Cop.
What? Wow, they've got vehicle damage in this game. That's Yeah. Mom spaghetti.
This guy would get in many car accidents doing what he's doing. Step on the gas. Step on the brake.
Ass, ass, ass.
That dude wearing like a kilt?
Yeah. Alright.
Got the car and coming to the wall.
Rut. I'm gonna kill you with my car. Yeah, it's a game about rap. Gas.
Do you? No. Stop the car. All right, well, that's some bizarre, surreal art from PaRappa the Rapper Remastered. It's out right now. We're not great at it, but it doesn't matter. You can just press anything you want and make this dumb dog say stupid phrases like car, pow.
Gas. What is that noise even?
Thanks for watching.
PaRappa.
Welcome back. I was going to say it. What? Don't do that. Quit it.
I'm not even saying the
All
same
right.
thing as you.
So, big news today. This
Yeah.
happened very first thing this morning. Digital Foundry got the kind of first exclusive look at what's going to be inside Microsoft's Xbox Scorpio. We still don't have an official name for that. We don't know what the actual box itself is going to look like. That's probably going to be an E3 thing. But these guys are known for kind of like just going under the hood and finding all the bits and pieces and figuring out what's in there. And frequently it gets very technical. Brian, you've been working in games a bit longer than I have, so you tend to know kind of more about I think the technical side of stuff, and we goof around here a lot, but I figured I wanted to give you a chance to kind of break down some of the stuff that Digital Foundry went over and really go into what Project Scorpio is doing. It's got this thing that's called a Jaguar CPU.
Yeah.
And you were good enough to kind of prepare some slides to talk a bit about this. So do you want to just let us know what it's doing?
I don't know anything about that, but I have some facts about Jaguars. First of all, Jaguars, one of the greatest jungle cats out there. They grow up to 75 inches long.
Brian,
did you know that? Did you know how big a Jaguar can get?
We're trying to talk about Xbox, though.
Look at him there. He's huge. What a big cat.
Well, I mean, at least you measured him with two types of measurements, the laser and the ruler. All right, great.
I think a lot of people don't really know that about Jaguars.
Okay,
Let's check out another thing about the AMD Jaguar that is powering the new Xbox.
It's not an AMD Jaguar. This is an animal.
This is the advanced new Jaguar.
This is just a regular jungle cat.
Did you know that there's only 15,000 left on Earth? That's less than the amount of Xbox One sold, so that's not good.
You know, sometimes the commenters are like right about us, so.
It's hard to find a hot date when you're a lonely Jaguar.
Okay, so moving on with this.
Did you know that they love to eat weird-ass garbage animals like the monkey and the snake? That's strange. Why would he do that? He could have anything he wants. And this is what he chooses? Strange cat.
It didn't even get the watermark out of the stock image.
Peculiar cat.
Don't you start back there. All right, so.
What a Jaguar. Wow, what a huge cat, but not the hugest, you ask. Who's the bigger ones? Number 2 is the lion, and number 2 is the Siberian tiger.
Do they really? I don't think the lion's even a jungle cat.
Yep, here they are.
It lives in a savanna.
Here they are in the natural element, being real big.
Great, so we know nothing about the Xbox One, but we love that.
Oh, look at this. They love making out and doing hot sex stuff all year long. When's a favorite Jaguar's time for kissing and smooching on this lady pal? Anytime, you ask.
Who's that man in the corner?
The Jaguar man.
What are you talking about?
And those are the facts about Jaguars. Brought to you by the Xbox Scorpio, the most powerful of the game consoles.
What? You can see his balls. Why did you show that picture?
I don't know anything
Just if
about
you want to
tech.
know more about the Xbox Scorpio, go watch like Unlocked or something.
I had like 20 minutes to figure that out, and I was like, oh, Jaguar, that's a trigger word for me. I'm gonna go with this one.
Yeah, so important moral just for companies out there, don't name your stuff after animals, because Brian.
Jaguars.
Great job. All right, so shifting gears here. God, this is such a stupid show.
Yeah, but we're doing it.
Great job. I love
Episode
that
83.
You made those before I'd even woken up. Like
Yeah.
I checked my phone and you'd like sent those all to me. It's just like, what's wrong with you?
You know when you do a good Photoshop of a Jaguar mating ritual?
Okay, let's move to the next story so I can
morning.
stop
There he
showing me that
is.
thing's balls.
AC Slater in the building. Look at that wine.
Is that like a different man photoshopped his? Get that out of here. Stop
He's
it.
wearing his jeans real low.
Burn your art school degree. All right. So speaking of art school degrees, there is a cool thing I found online. This dude on this Japanese website called, it's not even a Japanese website, it's a Japanese illustrator who goes by the name Ni on this website Pixiv, made this awesome art of what he thought a post-apocalyptic Dark Souls would look like. Obviously, a lot of people have beaten Dark Souls backwards and forwards. They've done it with Donkey Kong controllers. This guy finished Dark Souls 3 and basically was like, hey, so medieval's been done to death. They kind of touched on steampunk with Bloodborne. But what about a post-apocalyptic, futuristic Dark Souls? And he did these awesome kind of mock-up concept pieces, and they're really cool.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting kind of a Tokyo Jungle vibe from this, actually. Like this idea of like just a demolished Tokyo, and there's like, weird mutant things running around. Let's get our lower third of there, because he went to all the trouble of like having the accessories and stuff and all that. Like, I love that you're just.
Is that a 40 ounce?
I think that that's like one of those vitamin C like 5-hour energy things that they drink in Japan.
Yeah, in America we call that a 40 ounce.
It's not a 40 ounce. They don't even. I don't think they even use ounces over there because of the metric system.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's got some more here. I love that these
wow.
are just like this is it. It doesn't even feel like Fallout or anything. Like it feels like it's still got that level of like Dark Souls like monstrosity to it. But
Yeah,
there
for
are like
sure.
modern elements like you've got your Wi-Fi bars in the corner. You've got like a phone to deal with. But yeah, he's like I like this demonic tank. Like the idea that you'd be like, there's something. I mean, I'm getting almost a Death Stranding vibe from this. Like the idea of like, it's a tank, but there's things more wrong with it than just a normal tank.
Yeah, this is really cool. I would totally play this.
Yeah, but then there's also like mysterious strangers and kind of some elements of like older Japanese stuff. Like I don't know if this is anything close to what we're gonna see out of FromSoft anytime soon, but I think it would work pretty well. I mean, I think it sounds almost kind of half-assed on paper, but when you see it actually executed upon well.
Yeah, we see a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff in games, but I really like the sort of art direction he went with here, and I think that mixed with the Souls gameplay could lead to something really original and cool.
Yeah, I love that also, like, it totally makes sense that people would still be having campfires and stuff.
Yeah.
The need to scrounge for things and the fact that you'd be like, kind of borrowing through this world and looking for, bits of story. But yeah, we've actually got another Souls-like coming out pretty soon. It's called, I think, is it the Surge? Is that it? What's it called? The Purge, the Surge? Is that one? It's like, it's basically, it looks very, what is it? Day After Tomorrow? No.
Yeah, that one's actually got a sort of
Edge of
like,
Tomorrow.
I did an interview about that at Gamescom.
That's badass.
It's really cool.
It's all
and
power armor and stuff, and you're fighting mechs and things.
It's got that weird mech use feature look to
Yeah.
it. You kill enemies and then use part of their bodies to basically recreate your own armor, which I think is really smart. Yeah, so look out for that. That's a really cool concept, and I really hope to see like something like that at E3.
I just love to see
from
like
software.
like fan art and stuff like that.
Yep.
Even if we never actually see this game, it's always cool to see people screw around with that. So.
Yeah. Very cool. Max, we got some interesting news this week for people who've been playing video games their entire life. One of the most important things is obviously the video game controller. And video game controllers have evolved over the years. They've gotten better and better and better. But deep in the cut, off to the left and off in the corner, for decades now, has been Mad Catz. Until this week, Mad Catz announced that they will be no more. They filed for bankruptcy. This is not like a Chapter 11 type thing where somebody can come in and sort of resuscitate them. I think they're just done.
Yeah.
Now, Mad Catz has been making what I've called like the little brother controllers.
The Player 2.
Player 2 controllers for a very, very long time
Yeah,
now.
it's also, I'm fascinated from the business side of things how they got away with this. I guess because there weren't really as strict patents back in the day with controllers that you could have basically an off-brand official Nintendo controller. More recently, I've noticed that, and this probably has something to do with their business, Sony, I think, really cracked down on third-party controllers. Because you'd see like all kinds of weird like PS3 stuff. PS4, if you were trying to buy a controller, you kind of had to buy either a Sony one or an officially licensed Sony one.
Yeah. Now, it's worth noting that if you're in the fighting game scene, Mad Catz has made some really awesome stuff in the last few years. They've been really high level with professional fighting sticks and stuff like that.
But that is a very niche market.
Yeah.
So in any case, we figured we'd kind of give like a crash course of the things that Mad Catz made. They've made all sorts of weird stuff. But
let's take a look at some of their weirdest controllers ever.
Yeah. Starting with this N64 one, which is, I mean...
I love the Mad Catz you put back there.
Yeah, I don't know. I went kind of literal with that one. Gotta have animals. Yeah, it's all from museumofplay.org, which is a wonderful website full of just like weird archival images. But yeah, like it's one of those things where they clearly, it almost looks like they took just a Sega controller and gave it a boner.
So what's odd about
it doesn't even really look like an N64 controller.
No, that's the weird thing, because the N64 controller is already one of the gaming's weirdest oddities, right? When you look back at it, you're kind of like, that's an odd thing. But we've seen it so long that we're used to it, so that seeing this weird elongated sex toy version of it is a little disheartening.
It just looks like bad fan art.
Yeah,
but then of course they also were doing stuff for the PlayStation. I love that like
this is GameCube actually.
Is
oh no, this is PlayStation.
This is PlayStation 1.
Yeah, because I had a GameCube controller that looked just like this.
This was kind of almost their go-to, and you see this with different controllers. But yeah, they get those weird kind of the ribbing on the side, for
the grips.
Someone's pleasure.
There was that big fear through the 90s and even into early 2000s that controllers would just fly out of your hands. You need grips and hardcore rubbers. And it's like, what do you need all that for?
Yeah, also like I love that like Sony was like, a nice robust gray for your electronics. And they were like, yeah, but what if it was like pearl colored, like bath beads? Okay. Then of course there's this GameCube one.
This is the one I had,
Yeah. Which is, it looks vaguely medical. It looks like something that have in like a doctor's office for like a pediatrician's office. They're like, don't be scared.
This looks like a side character in WALL-E. The weird thing is like right down to like the cords, they're very odd. These are like translucent. The buttons were never that great. The C-sticks were always kind of a little clickier than they should be.
Yeah, you'd occasionally get one that was like, you'd almost prefer it to the real thing.
So that's
that
my
was
thing,
rare.
right? Like with Mad Catz controllers or third-party controllers going back to like the 80s, on Nintendo you'd have stuff like turbo buttons and stuff. Right. So when you lost those things, what were you really getting out of a third-party controller, right?
Well, that brings me to our next point. Everyone remembers the Wavebird, the oddly named wireless GameCube controller that just ate batteries.
The first wireless controller,
which is nuts. It's kind of funny that like you don't think of the GameCube as really being a groundbreaking system. PS2, kind of the winner of that generation, didn't have wireless controllers unless you bought a Lynx wireless. Yeah, cats.
How many different cat names are going to be on this thing?
A lot of cat names. But yeah, they also have, I think they have turbo on there.
RF technology. That's the other thing. They would just write words all over the sides of these things. Like, I mean, it was a different era.
It looks like biker shorts.
Yeah,
it doesn't
it really
even look
does.
like a controller. It looks like weird, funny legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, then there's of course this one. This was, I think, a PS2 one. I saw this and I had like this weird like, where do I know this from?
Right.
One of my best friends had this, and it was like you'd get stuck with this. It was good for some games. It was actually surprisingly good for Beautiful Joe.
Yep.
Because that's just a straight platformer. But trying to play God of War with something like this, because you're trying to hit shoulder buttons that are like, they're not tiered. They're just one next to the other. So you have to like.
I remember they specifically made something like that as well for GameCube because in Animal Crossing there were like 20-something NES games, and if you wanted to play with like an old school NES controller, the GameCube controller didn't have the best D-pad for that, so they put out something like that. So they're very like edge use case scenario type controllers.
I feel like Mad Catz is also, they were, I guess they owned Game Shark, or they bought them, or they distributed them at some point. Here's a controller that I think has like Game Shark functionality. It has like turbo buttons and stuff. It just looks terrifying. It looks like Apocalypse in like the new X-Men movie. Or like real just upsetting.
A fake controller in a movie about a video game that doesn't, written by people that have never played video games.
Exactly. I think they actually used a lot of Mad Catz controllers in stock photos of gamers, and then they'd forget to plug them in.
Yep.
Here's one for the original Xbox. Amazingly, this one's like pretty close to the source material. Like they really, I don't know if it's just different patent laws or maybe something about like domestic products versus international foreign products or what, but
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest. Like the Duke controller, you might have some nostalgia for it. It wasn't really the world's sexiest video game controller. It's clunky and weird and bloated, and this looks like a melty, dilapidated version of it. But there it is.
Yep. Then, of course, going into kind of more modern eras, here's a PS3 one. I actually, while I was digging around for these photos, there was a press release about how there was a certain PS3 software update that rendered a lot of Mad Catz's PS3 controllers like non-functional.
Oh wow!
And I don't know if it was just like partial functionality, like they could still you could still push the buttons and stuff, or if they just stopped working entirely. But that's got to be something terrifying as a third-party developer, that like a company can just be like, yeah, your stuff doesn't work.
Yep.
Nope. Sorry.
Yep.
Here's an Xbox 360 one. I don't know how you go like further off the rails from the last one looked like a better 360 controller than this one does. It just
and what sucks about this one is it's like you can feel it getting closer, right? Like it's almost right there.
Yeah,
except then you have those weird egg points,
weird little pointy cones at the bottom,
and again with the grips.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, they're odd.
Then more recently they started getting into more PC hardware.
Mad Cat made a mouse named the Rat.
They made
That's
the
what
Rat.
happened.
Yeah, I had one of these, and it was like. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not exactly. Like in the same way that like gaming peripherals or like PC gaming peripherals frequently like they'll look sort of like threatening, and then you use them and you're like, oh, that's not too bad.
Right.
It was an entirely modular mouse where you could basically adjust it was like a desk chair for your hand, and you could like adjust the resistance and the DPI, and you could have like macro buttons and all that. You could like unclick the scroll wheel so you could just scroll freely if the resistance from that little ratchet thing was too much for you.
Very Michael Bay Transformers.
Yeah, but the second you go from being like a third-party video game controller manufacturer to a third-party PC peripheral like manufacturer, you're getting into like a much bigger pond because there's like way more PC stuff out there.
Yep.
Here's something they did. This is the
what?
Yeah.
Is this like an RC car?
I don't know. They did have one that I think it's like a Bluetooth controller that I think could be configured to control drones. So you joke, but yeah, this is weird. We're looking at like 2014 probably here.
Yeah.
Most recently they did this thing.
Okay, that's what?
Yeah.
Is that just switchblades?
So that's actually, they wanted to take the same approach they took with the Rat controller and apply it to a controller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So does it have like modular elements here?
Fully, yeah.
Oh, it does. Wow. Look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
This is I think Bluetooth for use with Android and also with PC. And
it's got a keyboard, so you can text all your friends that come to the park and watch your drone.
You can turn it into just a paraglider. You can watch movies on the go. It's really just kind of a lot. And
look at that like weird Nintendo Switch thing going on in the corner there. Like it's fun. It's funny to look at the Switch now being successful, whereas like third parties were trying to nail that concept for a very long time.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think if you look in the upper left-hand corner, that weird little folded-up version I think could also be used as a mouse.
Yeah.
So it's just really kind of just jack of all trades, master of none.
And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you can see a red cat about to expend his 9th life.
Yes.
What is this?
This is like the cheaper version of that last one, but honestly, if you gave this to somebody, you're like, "What's that?" They'd be like, "I don't know."
So they got really
they
got really into drones in their last few years, is what you're showing me here.
I don't know. Okay. I don't even know. But as we mentioned, they did make a bunch of Street Fighter stuff. We actually did a series that was kind of us being taught how to play Street Fighter V with a bunch of with some esports pros.
And I think you used this one, right?
You had like the Chun-Li one, I had the Shadow Liu one.
Yeah, this thing was rad.
It was great. It was sturdy, and it was like it worked fine. It was synced up to work with PS4 because it's PS4
awesome
exclusive.
Arcade clickiness to it.
Yeah, it felt great, and apparently the fighting game community actually really liked it, and it did well. But again, like the people who are willing to spend several $100 on a fight stick that's a small piece of the pie chart. They also did make these ones that were fight pads, which were like kind of just mini fight sticks, basically. I remember Vince Ingenito, big fighting game guy, worked at IGN. He was not wild about these. Like he was very adamant that he did not like using these, and I think that was kind of the takeaway from a lot of the kind of the fighting game crowd.
It's not easy to make a video game controller.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's just really not
crazy. Yeah. So that's a brief crash course in Mad Catz. I don't know. Like I kind of wish there was space in the market for like weird like cheapo controllers. Like
totally.
Like maybe we'll see that with Switch. Maybe.
I mean, pro controllers were what, like $70? Like I mean, like controllers aren't cheap. Like it's it's gotten to the point that it's nice to have a little bit more sort of competition in that space.
Yeah.
So to watch that go away is a little worrisome because then you're forced to buy first party no matter what, even though that usually means the best build quality, but I don't know.
So that's a good segue there. Talking about first party companies developing hardware and engineering things.
Yeah.
And, you think that Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they could do no wrong with their own things, and it's always going to be the weird kind of knockoff ones that are screwing things up.
Yep.
We hear more and more stuff every day about how the Nintendo Switch dock is just bad news.
Yeah.
One of the first things we heard was that the insides were scratching up screens. We heard this thing doesn't even do anything. Sometimes there's weird connectivity issues.
Yeah.
Most recently,
the big thing now is that this thing is sort of a heat trap. Now, what does that mean for you? Usually not so much. You're probably switching, if you're like me, you switch between docked mode and handheld mode frequently all the time. Go from playing Zelda on your TV to playing on your couch, which is exactly what the system's designed for. Nintendo Switches are actually beginning to warp. And that's according to a big Reddit thread where it's popping up. Now more and more people are reporting on it. Nintendo's actually sort of taking Switches back under warranty and replacing them with new ones because of some of this. People are actually holding up rulers to their Switches and seeing that there is a noticeable curve or a concave.
And this isn't super unheard of. I mean, this was a big thing with the iPhone 7 when it first came out.
And iPads as well.
Yeah.
Happens a lot with electronics.
It just gets, this thing specifically, I think we talked about how this is basically, I don't think this is available from Nintendo's store anymore.
Well, yeah, they were selling it for a little while, and then they weren't selling it, and I believe they're selling it again. I think it goes for $49.99,
which is a lot of money for a piece of plastic that's just kind of you plug stuff into.
So the more we get into this, and here's the thing that's actually been happening. So on Etsy, because of the way that this thing was scraping up and scratching the front of people's Switches, people on Etsy were creating sort of custom covers for it. Now, there's this awesome community of very talented artists there who are making these sort of like slip covers for this thing, kind of like an old lady's couch, that have like cool Nintendo characters on them and stuff like that, and they're putting it on the front. Here's the problem with that. The R&D that went into this thing does not account for the fact that you're gonna put a rug over it, and it's starting to heat up even more. So some of these things are heating up on their own, some are heating up with the addition of this like sort of placeholder thing that people are putting on to save another problem.
What I love that somebody pointed out is the fact that this thing right here doesn't even have anything in it.
No.
Like there's no reason for this part to be here, and that you could theoretically just cut it down, and then your Switch
people
clicks
have,
in there and displays. But yeah, it would not surprise me one bit if we saw Nintendo kind of come back and be like, here's a different dock.
Yeah.
Here's a different setup for the Switch.
And I'm gonna say to the camera straight up, this thing needs a redesign. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, it was one thing that it was slightly scratching them. Now, this was Marty Slevas, and I just pulled it off of his desk. Now, everything about that dude's life is bent, but his Switch dock specifically is leaning in a little bit. Hey, Marty. And that's a problem. Like, this is happening to a bunch of different units. I don't necessarily think it's a great design to begin with. I understand the idea of having your Switch sort of poking out the top. It's easier to grab. But the Wii U had a charging stand where it just sat there.
It had little wheels, you'd roll it in there.
Yeah, it was really cool. So
this actually reminds me quite a bit of the first 3DS dock. That was its whole big gimmick there was that it was like wireless charging. You just plopped it down and little things poked in there. Wow. So yeah, our producer's holding up the Nintendo Switch dock set is $90.
Yeah, that's the one that comes with an HDMI cable and the Switch AC adapter.
And to be fair, HDMI cables are pretty expensive. They usually go like just a few $100.
Yeah,
trying to get a good one.
Yeah, $3,000 or $4,000 each. I like to get the gold-plated ones in the back corner of a Best Buy where a teenager tricks me into spending my money.
So I mean, if you're one of those people who looks at a piece of hardware and you're like, oh hey, this is made from the manufacturer, the guy who invented it, whatever, Nintendo, you can trust them. Not always the case, so maybe just get like a little bed of leaves and felt, like a nest of baby birds, and gently place your Switch on there.
And if you have a Switch,
just charge it with the cable.
If you have a Switch, honestly, keep an eye out for this stuff. If you start to see your screen getting scratched or your system getting bent, contact Nintendo and see what they can do for you. Because I mean, you spent $300 on this thing. I don't think you should just sit there and deal with it. So that's that. Max, you and I have played a ton of Zelda. I just finished it the other day. I beat Ganon. That means nothing because I immediately went back in there and kept playing.
Sure.
My clock said I'm about 95, 100 hours so far. So that's nuts.
Yeah, I've been playing a fair amount, not as much as everyone else, which I feel bad about, but I think I just did like my 40th shrine yesterday. I definitely put time into it. I've done, I think, like two of the Great Beasts. It's one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah.
Hands down. But that said, there are things in it that after this many hours, you're like, I wish this was different.
Yeah.
Especially comparing it to older Zeldas.
Yeah, this is the, like the 10th or 12th, my math is wrong on that one, Zelda, maybe 20th. There's been so many Zeldas. I played them all to completion. I do love those games. And Breath of the Wild does so many great things new and takes the series in so many new, bold directions. But we thought we'd take a look at some of the stuff that we kind of miss about the old Zeldas. They announced this week that the next Zelda games in the foreseeable future will continue to be open air or open world. And I think that's a great direction for them. But I don't want them to just completely lose all the things that we held on to in the past when it comes to Zelda. So that being said, we thought we'd take a quick look at 5 of the things that we kind of miss about the old Zelda games.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I totally screwed up the Photoshops here. I used the wrong image, but that being said, we're gonna power through.
Yeah.
So work with
It's a live
me here.
show, you got us.
Yep. Yeah, so basically one thing a lot of people complain about is the weapon degradation and the fact that you have to kind of like, oh, your stick exploded suddenly for no reason and you gotta go find a new stick. I think just the inventory management side of things and the fact that you're constantly doing that like, oh, which is better? Like which piece of hardware is better suited for this is kind of a bummer. I always loved the sort of the pageantry, like the thrill of getting a brand new weapon in Zelda. Yeah, exactly.
Like a whole thing
and it was
around
like,
it.
and the second you got one of those things, there was never a feeling if you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
But the newer system is something that I feel like is almost a holdover from, it's something that bugged me about Skyrim.
Right.
Like when you have like, on the bright side, the fact that your weapons do break is like you learn to kind of like not really feel super attached to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think we're here to complain about item degradation because I actually grew to love it in Zelda.
Yeah, no, it's
But
fun.
the fact that you get magnesis, stasis, cryonesis, and like those things all in the early section before going to the Great Plain is the only time in that game where you're really given some different kind of powers.
Right.
I mean, you do get a fire rod and a boomerang down the line, but none of them really have any permanence or fanfare.
Yeah, I do miss that level of like, oh, this is the part where I need my hammer. I'm gonna get in there, or like I need my pogo stick or my my hairbrush or whatever the hell he's carrying around. Obviously, kind of dungeons are another one. We talked about this. I mean, there's the great beasts in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the great divines.
And they're spoilers. There's 4 of them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of interesting because there's like a sort of boss fight type thing, and then there's a puzzly dungeon type thing, and they're incredible from a game design perspective. But that level of like kind of gotta catch 'em all dungeons that Zelda used to have is something that I do miss.
Yeah, absolutely. The Great Divines are really cool because they are self-contained puzzle boxes that you can interact with on the fly. But they don't have mini bosses. They don't have many enemies outside of like a guardian in each one. And by the way, we're not going to get into spoiler stuff here. But I feel like the closest thing in the game is Hyrule Castle, which is kind of big and vast, but also entirely optional. I love the dungeons in even stuff like Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. Wind Waker only had like 5 or 6 of them, but they work really well. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask have some of the most fascinating dungeons I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I like them because there's like themes and there's like different kind of styles to them, and it's again a stupid thing to complain about with Breath of the Wild because like Breath of the Wild has 120 shrines.
Exactly.
And they're spread out every which way, and they're little bite-sized like mini dungeons. And then there are like monsters out in the wild. There's Moldugas and Hinoxes walking around, and they feel like boss fights.
Yeah.
But as far as kind of being like, oh, here's this thing that we all kind of share. This F the water temple, that kind of thing. I just feel like Breath of the Wild doesn't quite have that same kind of punch to it.
I totally agree. Also, one of my favorite weapons of all time in Zelda history is the hook shot. This is a game about traversal, and I know this would kind of break it, but I'm not a game designer. I'd like to see this thing come back for the next one. The hookshot was fantastic. In Wind Waker, it's gorgeous. In Twilight Princess, you actually got dual hookshots. There's an entire dungeon dedicated to double hookshotting and never really touching the ground. Like you're just in the air the entire time.
I imagine if you put a hookshot in Breath of the Wild, it would feel a little bit like Arkham City in like a good way. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's some way you could balance it with stamina, pair it with the paraglider, and it gets really exciting. I just always love the hookshot.
Or at least for combat. Like combat alone is a really cool thing because hookshotting like one of those electric chews from far away and then running up and attacking it, like kind of stunning it. Pulling enemies or rupees closer to you was really cool. Yeah, I like that sort of grabby element to it.
Yeah, I feel like Magnesis kind of takes the place of it in some ways.
Here and there,
in terms of like bringing stuff closer to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then of course there's bosses. Avert your eyes if you're one of those people who hasn't gotten any bosses yet. But let's talk about this. The fact is, the bosses that you get in Breath of the Wild are.
I'll put it this way without spoiling anything. They're kind of all variations of a similar theme. Whereas, and again, we mentioned you get High Noxes and you get Stone Taluses. There are mini bosses out in the wild, and they do have their own sort of like monumental music build-ups and fanfare and stuff like that. But the idea of just like these big, gigantic creatures that you take on, few and far between in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the deal with Breath of the Wild, is that there's not. They're different variations on the same theme.
Yeah.
They're not different themes, and that's what you've kind of got with previous Zelda games. Was like, here's a dinosaur, here's a spider, here's like a whatever the hell it is.
Yep.
And I kind of miss that. Now, finally, the hookshot missing is one thing that kind of sucks. But really, why don't you get a fishing pole? Come on, you got to go in the water and like use bombs or electric arrows like some kind of weird redneck animal.
Or you just
go
grab
and catch
them like a weird dude.
you just go like a bear. Come on. I know you're the hero of time or whatever, but get a pole.
Well, it's actually one of my favorite things to do in the old Zelda games, going back to Ocarina. Actually, in Link's Awakening, you can rent a fishing rod and go fishing. And you get a heart piece like that.
Also, I wanted to just point out, like, the fishing pole thing in video games, Japan loves that.
Yeah.
It's kind of out of control. Like the fishing game in Final Fantasy, there's one in Yakuza 0, there's one in Nier Automata. I haven't gotten far enough in Persona, but I mean, it's kind of odd that they just left out a fishing pole. I'm just saying, because all the other big Japanese games, they have fishing poles. I'm sure a lot of people are pissed off about the no fishing pole.
And if you're watching this and you're like, oh man, these guys are being too negative, it is a testament to how fantastic this game is that 100 hours in, one of our top 5 biggest complaints is, where's a fishing pole?
Yeah, also the fact that the bosses and
rules.
dungeons, that's the same complaint.
Yeah.
That's only 4 things that are wrong with that game. That game is great.
Now, some of you may have finished Zelda. I know what you're saying. That's basically impossible because finding all 900 Korok seeds is an insane quest that if you're on, wow, I hope everything's okay. I know one of our buddies here at IGN, Brandon Hunt, said he's trying to go for all of them.
Yeah.
And I want to check in on that dude.
Why don't you just go outside and pick up actual rocks?
I want to make sure he's okay. But that said, I just finished Zelda, and you probably thought the Nintendo Switch is a Zelda machine, and it is. And it does that better than anything else ever has. But there are a bunch of other really cool games that you can play now that Zelda's over. Possibly even stuff that's a little more lighthearted, quick, easy, indie, kind of quick, just wonderful artistic games that you can pick up and play. Starting with Graceful Explosion Machine, which is out today. It's this sort of Geometry Wars style shmup, where enemies have different patterns. This looks like complete chaos, but your ship is actually in the middle there with 4 different types of attacks. You've got this cool power sword, you've got missiles, you've got a charge beam, and you end up fighting all these different enemies that all sort of explode differently.
Hey, Brian, what the hell am I looking at right
Exactly, right? You're looking at fun.
I don't know, but it's perfect.
It's perfect. So think of this as sort of a mix between Geometry Wars and Resogun in terms of the way Resogun sort of scrolls from side to side, and Geometry Wars have different enemies that you can take on that kind of blow up in different patterns. I really like this game. It's out today. It's $12.99. Yeah, I think we have an official review going up on IGN very soon, so definitely check that out.
Another game you checked out, we actually played it last week on the show, Snake Pass.
Yeah, really fun game. We had the developers on. I just 100%ed this game. It's really challenging. It's got this sort of like old school Banjo-Kazooie feel to it, but without platforming.
I think at a glance it does look like, it's going to be a 3D platformer. It's so much more of like a weird physics puzzle type game.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
I love this game. This one's $20. It'll take you about 6-7 hours to 100% it. Really, really, really like it. The last few levels of this game are incredibly challenging. So just a heads up for that. Number 3, Fast RMX. If you're looking for a sort of F-Zero style game, we talked about this one a lot at launch. I think people kind of ignored it. It's $20. It's got it's a sort of an up-res port of the Wii U version, but with all the DLC. You're not getting an F-Zero game for a long time. You're not getting a Mario Kart game for a couple of weeks. So let's look at one of the best racing games that I've played all year. Fast RMX is definitely it. It's really challenging. It's really fun. It's got this sort of like Ikaruga color switching thing between powering up between blue and yellow lanes. I really, really love this game. And it's a great showpiece for how great 3D games can look on Switch in handheld mode. Blaster Master Zero. I grew up with Blaster Master, one of my favorite NES games back from that sort of DuckTales, Chip and Dale's era. It switches between a side-scrolling Metroidvania-style car shooting game to a top-down sort of a little more Metal Gear type game, where you
Yeah.
play as a kid who frog jumped in a sewer and became electrocuted.
Is this like a prequel to? Is this like a reboot of Blaster Master?
Sort
or
of.
what
It
is
feels remakey prequel. I don't know where it sits in the Blaster Master canon because the story's kind of nonsense, but it's really fun. It's just a couple bucks on Switch, so definitely check that out. And finally, Mr. Shifty launches next week. Keeps being described as sort of Nightcrawler meets Hotline Miami. Top down, violent, gory as hell. You can warp through walls. Really fun. That launches next week, so we're gonna try to do a Let's Play of this next week on Up at Noon.
I'm excited to check this out. Honestly, like just seeing this lineup, the Switch is kind of shaping up to be a Vita too.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty
absolutely.
excited about that.
Yeah, and that's even ignoring stuff like Lego, ignoring stuff like Shovel Knight, Binding of Isaac, games that you can play everywhere, but are really great on Switch. So yeah, I'm very happy with that system.
Yeah, so Switch has got a lot of great games coming out. One game that came out this week on PS4, I believe it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Now we're gonna watch that next week. No time.
All right,
let's open up some toys.
Let's talk about some toys.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna play a game with massages, but we don't have time for massages.
We'll show you next week because it's super weird.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we got a bunch of really cool DC collectibles this week.
They're not in the box. I'm sorry.
No, that's the box. This is the new Batman Adventures, right? Very awesome art style, Bruce Timm. So now we got some of the action figures here.
Well, DC Collectibles have been putting out these kind of gorgeous, posable adaptations of Bruce Timm's like classic animated style, which is, if you looked at kind of design-wise, like stuff that works well with action figure joints, this is pretty like. This is kind of swimming upstream.
Yeah.
Like these figures should not be able to stand up, and they come with little stands and stuff. This box set will run you, I think it's MSRP of like 80 bucks, but you can find it on Amazon for 50, which is about 10 bucks a figure, which is pretty fair. These are incredibly posable. You got Livewire, you got Harley Quinn, you got Supergirl, Poison Ivy, which is of course the more recent design from basically when they did like season 4.
This is kind of like the ladies of DC, or at least a few
it's called the Girls Night Out box set. They sent us a bunch of ladies really, which is sort of weird, but also going on, we've got these ones. There's this line they do that's called Bombshells. They're doing action figures of these too, but these are the big fancy statues.
Yep.
Here's one of Katana. She's basically been reimagined as sort of like a geisha pinup. And this is, they do a few of these. They've also got, as you can see, sort of like a boudoir raven and cheerleader bumblebee. So, put something on your shelf that, maybe get a weird glance or maybe not. Yep. But yeah, DC Collectibles is absolutely killing it in kind of the high-end and, kind of more action figure grade.
So what do these run you, Max? Like these
guys,
ones?
I think about 130.
Okay.
Little magnet clicks on there, so.
Oh, interesting. So they're not articulate.
No, they're just statues.
But they have magnets that let you snap parts on and off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is very smart, and the packaging's very, very clean and clear and kind of easy to take care of. I think we've unboxed a couple of these, but yeah, like I'm not much of a statue guy. I tend to prefer to like actually play with toys, but. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to do that, so you can just snap that on there.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah, super easy to set up. Then, of course, we've got the Flash. One thing I want to point out, it's not just ladies. They also do Aquaman.
Look at that Aquaman.
They didn't send us Aquaman, though. So, yeah, this is the Flash basically reimagined as a kind of drive-in waitress.
Yeah.
They have fun with it.
We got very squeaky boxes this week.
See, I thought we were gonna have a video of us, playing that massage game, so I'd have a second to set up here, but oh well, here we are, like a weird pervy QVC. Yeah, so she's got like a milkshake. Again, more magnets kind of clicking in there, which
I really like that. That's
nice
cool.
touch.
I haven't seen a lot of that.
Oh
What's
wow!
that?
So
she's got roller skates.
She holds her skates separately.
Got it.
This is awesome. I got friends who do like roller derby, and this is like something they'd be probably super into.
It's one of the most dangerous things in the world, by the way.
Really?
Roller derby?
Roller derby, really?
Ask a roller derby girl how many injuries. Ask a roller derby girl about her black and blues.
There you go. So yeah.
Yeah, these are awesome,
actual
man.
skates and stuff, which is badass. And then finally, kind of on the really high end part of the spectrum, you've got.
We're making a real mess in here today.
Yeah, whatever. We're just gonna go to lunch after this and let them clean it up. So.
Whoa!
Yep. So here is.
Okay, that rules.
A big ass Wonder Woman from Batman v Superman.
Don't say that about her.
Clicks into this base, which is shaped like her two friends' logos fighting each other.
Yep.
And the sword clicks into place there, and you've got like a beautiful big old Wonder Woman to put up on your desk or whatever.
You gotta stop calling her that.
Whatever. Anyway, this one goes about $150. Yeah, just really incredible, gorgeous attention to detail.
Yeah.
DC Collectibles, they have like gone from being like kind of, they used to be called DC Direct, and they would do kind of like not super articulated toys or anything, and they do like a handful of statues here and there. They are putting out some really, really nice stuff lately.
Yeah, this stuff's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it should just be the boys that have fun. So this stuff's really great. Bring this stuff home. Like honestly, we talk about this a lot, but like you can buy like cheap collectibles at Walgreens, but if you spend a couple more bucks, you get some really good looking stuff that I think you can show off in your home. And that's our show. Thank you guys so much for watching this week. We'll be back same time next week with another fantastic episode. After that, Max is heading on over to Star Wars Celebration, so catch his stuff there. But in the meantime, we've got a brand new episode of Linked Together going up today. That's me and Zach Ryan's show where we play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with split Joy-Cons, turning that into a multiplayer game. We also got an awesome new episode of Podcast Beyond that we just put up yesterday, so go check that out. It's you, me, and the very bent Marty Sleva talking about Spider-Man and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Crooked strange man.
We make so much cool stuff here. And we put up a great episode of NVC, I think that's going on today. That's Nintendo Voice Chat. We're having our biggest month ever with that show. So
it was also just announced that if, I believe IGN is going to be streaming on Twitter's homepage during E3. So if you want to watch us at E3, just go to like twitter.com. Don't even log in. Just go to the main page, and it's just going to be there. We're just going to make our just start horrible faces just leering at you.
So yeah, leave a nice comment on our videos, subscribe to our shows, watch our stuff, and thank you so much. And don't forget the Fast and the Furious red carpet's coming up soon. We're plugging so much.
Yeah.
General Mills Monsters are coming back this fall. They got brand new cereals. They're letting Blueberry just go nuts this time around.
Yeah.
What else is happening?
Head on down to the local apple orchard because it's almost cider season. Got to head out, get those big red balls out of that tree and squish them up good to get the juice coming out.
Yeah. Richard Scary has announced
a
new animal for the busy town. He says it's an orangutan with roller skates. He says it's like a sick dude.
It's unlike all the other orangutans on roller skates that have been plaguing Busy Town. Huckle Cat, Lowly Worm, all those fine friends. Anyway, for all the latest on Richard Scarry's busy world and cars and trucks and things that go and what do people do all day, keep it locked right here on IGN up at noon.
And don't forget, Jaguars bang all year long.